What's up, everybody? It's Joseph R. Wheeler, the third, the artist, the founder, and the president of the Onyx Con Foundation, 501c3 nonprofit arts and creative lifestyle organization. Always here to show you how to live your best art life. Let's get into it today. I want to talk to y'all about a topic that I've covered many times before, but I thought it's a great time to re-enter the 36 chambers, you know. Shout out to the woo, right? No, real though. We're talking about AI, y'all. We're talking about AI as it applies to, which it applies to pretty much everything nowadays, but especially in the arts, okay? And its application to the visual, to the audio. Mind you, I used to absolutely have really, really harsh thoughts towards AI in sense of using it as an artist. I felt like it was ridiculous. I felt like all this stuff looks crazy. It's always got 15 fingers. It's always got 20 toes. It's never all together and looking normal. It looks weird. It's out of place. It's awkward. Even when it looks good, it's like it all looks the same. Even when it's very cool, but it still looks the same. Oh, damn, that looks really cool. You telling me that's AI? Shit. You know, it's getting better. Then it's like got to the point where it was unseeable sometimes. I'm talking about when it's illustrations. Now, when it's trying to be photographic, realistic, I can always kind of pick it apart. I can generally nowadays pick it apart either way, even if it's a realistic illustration. But like, and then even when it's like animation style, but simplified, like, I mean, there's a zillion ways to be animation, but I'm saying like super cartoony looking, I can always kind of tell because the style is too exact. That's one thing about AI in general. It's a perfectionist-based medium. It's trying to maximize all of those things that humans have been doing for centuries with, you know, whether it's in film, with realistic film, with makeup, you know, powder somebody's face to a point where it's like, yo, your skin ain't that even. You know, it gives you that look naturally. Or if it's a cartoon, it's like all the lines have a similar weight in every instance of how shadows or textures or suggested forms will be. It's always the same. It doesn't have that variation that a human hand-to-eye coordination drawing does. And I am a drawer. I am a painter professionally. Did it for years. Okay, so for me, that was the number one reason why I wasn't feeling it when it first came out. And when I say first came out, come on, it's been around. We just didn't call it that. It's like, we just didn't call it AI, but that's what it was, okay? And I'm gonna break it down even further on that. So, because here's where I'm at right now, to make it very clear for anybody who wants to bail out now and be annoyed because they just don't want to hear nothing good about how AI is gonna have to be something we deal with in the future because we're already forced to deal with it, blah, 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 blah. You hear it all the time, but it's not just hearsay, it's facts, man. It's absolute facts that it's not going anywhere. It's going to be here. It's more about understanding it's a tool, making those who might want to unethically use it outside of being a tool, force them to understand it is only a tool. We're not going to allow this thing to turn into, you know, the Terminator or the Matrix and all these doomsday worst thoughts of how it could and has every potential to be. But that's if I feel too many of us continue to pretend that being human first matters. And I think a lot of people, because of the issues we have with each other, the divisions because of everything from sexism to racism to ageism to colorism to every ism, right, that's on the dysfunctional side of isms versus the positive sides of isms, okay? As long as we continue to embrace all of that, we will seal the deal and it can become everything we've dreaded and created in science fiction dystopia. I will say that. I think all of that's absolutely possible if too many people throw away the value of truly being human or lose sight of what that really is. But that begins with getting rid of the constructs that have been destroying us forever. Like, you know, race, as I always say, is a construct. when we get back to being the human family, we can heal. We can heal. We can still we're going to have our differences, but we can do so responsibly. We can do so more considerately, more consideration of everybody's involvement in any kind of conflict, and understanding that half the stuff you mad about or keep it at odds with each other is just simply so many people not knowing the absolute truth, denying absolute truth, and not having been faced with enough things in life that are sure verifications of what's the truth and what's false. See, one thing about the truth is you can lie all day and stack lies and never have to face consequences. But if you mess around with the truth long enough, you're going to have to face some consequences, because that's tied to the essence of the universe itself. And the laws of the universe, they determine our existence. You know what I'm saying? Like you can literally say, well, I just don't believe that fire is hot, and then you walk through it and your ass die. You see what I'm saying? So there's consequences to being stupid and telling people lies and pretending that these lies are true. There's consequences. Now, with AI, in the visual sense, a lot of my artist friends are either on one side of the spectrum or the other. They either hate it or they're using it. What's surprising to me as time goes on is that some of the people I would have never thought would be using it are using it. But I bet those people, and even the people who don't like it, are saying some of the same things about me when they see that I've used it for projects like Cyberpunk ATL. If you don't know about it, check the playlist here. It's really phenomenal in my opinion. Of course I would say that, because it's out of my mind. No matter what you see, and especially what you hear, because it's my voice. I'm your narrator throughout that project. And it's a fan-based fictional account based in the worlds of Michael Todd Smith's epic vision of Cyberpunk. If you want to tie it back to the video game by CD Projekt Red, which I absolutely love, okay? That's the world I'm talking about, Cyberpunk 2077. If you're on the tabletop gaming, you're talking Cyberpunk, the original game from the 80s, Cyberpunk Red, the new game coming out, Night City 2045. Shout out to Artel Sorian, still doing the damn thing. I delved deep. I did episodes using AI. I have no regrets. I even did some audio work where, I haven't been able to afford a monthly plan to do one of the ones where you can constantly be generating images and constantly be generating voiceover work and everything, because I just can't afford it right now. But that's gonna change, because we're gonna monetize this channel. Y'all gonna help me right now, because you're gonna put that subscription button in effect. You're gonna hit that subscribe. There you go. Thank you. And you're gonna hit that like too. Oh my gosh, you a real one. All right, I'm gonna dedicate the next episode of Cyberpunk ATL to you. Thank you. Yeah. So, we cooking, y'all. And my point is, when I did this, I never thought I would be doing this the way I jumped into it, dog. But it was a gradual process. Just like AI becoming more common is a gradual process. And what I realized after I embraced it and stopped being anti is it's just a tool. Now, somebody say, no, it's not. It's taking your job, and you got to be crazy to let this thing take your job and take everything you ever worked so hard to learn how to do, and it's just studying you, and then it just does something that looks sort of like or just like what you've done, and then everybody wants that because they really want the original you, but they don't care how they get it. And see, okay, so let's pick that apart, right? Let's pick that apart. And let's use a really bad situation example of how that's manifested recently. Over 1,000 people who worked in the art department at Disney for Marvel films and other things were fired recently. And even though there was all this blanket statement put out to try and pretend it had nothing to do with AI, in so many words, it finally came out official. Yeah, they replaced them as people's jobs with AI technology that, on top of everything, literally mocks all of the work they had done for years, to the point where it can generate stuff that looks like they still work there. Now, here's the thing though. How could it do that? They weren't drawing on paper most of the time. They weren't drawing on canvas and painting on canvas most of the time, or any other typical tangible media. I'm not saying they never used it. I'm an artist. I know how the processes go. I know you can go from a painting and a traditional drawing, scan it in, take a photo of it, manipulate it in the computer, etc. But I know majority, 90 some odd % of everybody working in film when it comes to the visual concept art that becomes the character designs, the suits, the characters, the CGI models, okay? CGI has long been an artificial intelligent source of creative vision. We just didn't call it AI. See, we fell in love with CGI. We sit around as fans and debate. Well, I don't know, the dragons in Lord of the Rings versus the ones in, Game of Thrones. And I do like that original King Kong, but does it compare with the new King Kong and the blah, 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 blah? And look at Godzilla. No one wants to admit you love it, but there was a time, because I lived it, when CGI first came out, computer-generated images, and people were like, man, these goddamn computers, they taking all the puppeteers' jobs. We ain't gonna never have that cool-looking stuff we grew up on. Hey, whatever happened to the guy who did, Clash of the Titans and the claymation stuff? I like that stuff. I grew up on that stuff, and I did too. I loved it to this day, right? And that's still a technique that some people know how to do, stop motion. They still do it. Not in mass, not in bulk. It's not the standard for a good horror movie or a good sci-fi movie. And I'm not saying a good one can't be still made using these technologies. Some independent creators still do. And this shit is fucking phenomenal. Okay? All right? Yeah, it's still being done. But let's be honest. How many of y'all are gonna go see, man, there's that new sci-fi joint, man. All of the animation is claymation. You're like, oh, that sounds cool. I remember that when I was a kid, like Gumby and stuff. If they old enough, they'll say that. Or they'll say, yeah, I remember Clash of the Titans. Yeah, you say it's coming out soon. Okay, what's the name of it? In one ear, right out the other. They ain't going to see it. All us diehard artist types that truly are artists, that truly love, either you love the arts or you're an artist yourself in some way. Okay? We'll go see it. We'll hunt it down, man. We dig in the crates, like we say in hip hop, okay, in the musical side of hip hop. Yo, we gonna go dig for it. We'll find it, right? We'll get that obscure copy if we got to, just to see something. I grew up doing this. I used to get the laser disc bootlegs of Japanese films that didn't come out in America officially through license deals till freaking 10 years later. I was in college, just out of college, and just out of college, watching films from 90s Godzilla movies, Gamera, all that stuff, okay, that still use some puppeteering, that still use CGI with the puppeteering, hello, okay, tools, and it was dope, it was cool, I loved it, and I didn't give a shit that some of the CGI was in it. I like the CGI as much as I like the puppeteer, the guy in the suit crashing buildings and stuff on built sets and stuff. I like the made up stuff that I could tell was CGI, even when it looked wonky as hell back then. The Japanese stuff looked wonky, the American stuff looked wonky. Look at them old shows from back in the day, CGI. But we watched it because it's what we had. And we learned to love it, and then, like I said, people started judging it. Well, this was a little better than what they did. And their team needs to be like that team. Because people became CGI snobs overnight. Like all of a sudden, people stopped saying how much they hated CGI, and suddenly everybody was talking about how cool CGI was and rating it on who had better CGI. Okay. Now, don't you know that's exactly what's about to happen with AI people? It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. The only difference is with AI, it's not just something that applies to, when you say CGI, it literally only translates to most people's minds as something as an effect in film. It doesn't apply to every aspect of living. AI does when you use the phrase. Artificial intelligence goes beyond just visual art. It gets into all the arts. It's making music. It's making freaking people that look like real people to be performers. I see these commercials on YouTube where I'm like, this whole commercial is AI people. These ain't real people. And they're damn if they don't look convincing. I know that, they look very convincing. And then on top of it, the voices, some of those voices, those aren't real people. Those are imitating real people's voices. Pretty amazing. Now, as an actor, Do I feel like that's good for my jobs and all that, with the fact that I'm living through a damn scourge in Georgia where we used to have all this work and now we don't have half the work we used to have? It's one of the worst economies ever for that and for everything, but especially film biz. It's dry. It's dry as a mug right about now. I used to go on a forum. These are, they still exist, but they're barely around anymore. Even that died out. There was a time, an era of forums. Now it's called Facebook, Instagram, etc. Okay? People just argue in the comments, where they used to go into forums and argue and debate and do all this little stuff, right? Okay. But the attention span has gotten shorter, and so have the paragraphs. People used to, I know, because I used to write paragraphs. I used to write straight up books on foods to get them in check on forums, right? That kind of doing it still exists, like I say, but it's very niche. Like, don't nobody really be on that like that. It's not big enough to make multi-million-dollar movies that make billions, So the category of that died out, but when it was hot, when it was the thing to do, there was a certain forum I used to go on that was for professional artists in the biz. I'm not gonna name it out of respect for the fact there were some really talented people on there, and I don't want to seem like I'm dogging out the whole thing, because I used to enjoy going on there and looking at the art. But 90% of every artist that was on that site was either aspiring or already in the Hollywood business, doing concept art for major films. And what would be fun is they would show their work sometimes in, what they could, release. They'd be like, yeah, I'm working on this. They allowed me to put this out. I've been wanting to say it, show this to y'all for the longest. Look at this. This is going to be, this is one of the designs. It won't be the final monster, but it might be one of the monsters in that new movie. Blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, holy shit, look at this stuff, man. And all of it was digital art. Digital illustration. There were like 2 or 3 people on the whole damn site that ever posted a real paper drawing, real painting on canvas, etc. And I'm not saying real like that's the only way to do anything in a world of technology, but I am saying I have those skills, and I used to feel some kind of way back then because I didn't have the technical skills, not because I couldn't learn them. I didn't want to. I didn't want to get a damn Wacom tablet and be forced to draw that way. I want to draw free on paper. I like drawing, and I like drawing big, and I like painting big, and I really hate it. And the only thing that held me back from continuing that love is I didn't have the space. At certain times in my life I did, and then I lost those spaces or access to those spaces, or I didn't have a living space that was conducive to me doing that anymore. It didn't make sense. I'm like, man, I can't get busy like that up in here. I just couldn't. And so it broke down slowly from circumstance. But the irony of why that heartbreak was going on as a more so quote unquote fine artist that wanted to blend illustration and concept art traditions with the way I thought. See, I was like the fine artist that wanted to do that old school drawing and painting for film. But for the illustrations that would be for a movie or for a comic book or anything of that sort, that was my passion. At a certain time, I mean, like so bad, I really would have some real constant stress about where do I fit? Because my work it's like people get it, they love it, they like my art. But it was hard to get a show when I was, trying to get in art galleries that were very snooty and not open to comic book style art yet. See, a lot of this shit y'all see right now, like y'all see my videos for ABV. Shout out to ABV. Love that gallery. I'm going to one of their new openings this week. Or I plan to. And they show that kind of work almost exclusively because the guy who started it was that kind of artist. Shout out to Greg Mike, who started that gallery. But that's a guy who does graffiti, cartoon style characters, all this. He's the epitome, right? He's the epitome. But he also understood, hey man, I've been blessed, I can give a lot of other people an opportunity and a platform. So he had the financial wherewithal at a certain point in his career, making good as a visual artist, doing what many don't ever get to do, pay all their bills and live a good life off their art. Hello, okay? And he opened up this gallery to showcase other artists who work in that same style and vein of type of work. Beautiful, right? But the thing is, there's very few Greg Mikes I've come across in this lifetime. And even they have a limitation as to, because once they do their thing, man, everybody wants to be with them if they do that kind of work. Everybody wants to be over there. It's like, oh man, this is maybe my only chance to get seen and acknowledged. Now, the irony of that is now there's whole towns, they have Art Basel. I haven't been to it, but I've seen how that's become more urban art, more graffiti, more hip hop style, more, the flavor, okay? The cool shit. It's all come in the last, you can say 20 years. Okay, you can say 20 years. Because I know for a fact, in my 30s and all of my 20s, that was a struggle time for all of us who love that kind of work. And there was a break between us who still did traditional media and those who were doing digital media. And when I was on that forum that I was talking about, one thing that used to always crack me up is when I post my work, people would feel intimidated, but also feel the urge to, a lot of them would try to insult me and pick me apart and critique my work and tell me how, oh, your anatomy's this and that and other, and you need to change this and that. Now, mind you, I'm not saying I was ever absolutely the most perfect drawer in the history of drawing. But if you ever seen my work, and I might flash something here so y'all can get a point about what I'm saying, I'm a bad motherfucker. I knew I was tough, right? Okay? And even if I drew something figurative, my anatomy was off sometimes, most of the time it was on purpose because I was doing something stylistically. Now, when it was just off, it was just off. But I had fun, and I was pure, and it was that original drawing and painting. These folks were working on the computer, where the rendering ability of the computer and how you take layers and I do all that too. I know how to do it. But I never went full throttle into it till even to this day, where I've done like multiple full scene illustrations in the computer on a tablet. All right. I only got a tablet within the last, has it been 5 years? Maybe 3. Okay. And I've drawn on it. And honestly, I could never, it's like there's just something in me. I will do it. And I do it. And it's fun sometimes, but it almost don't even click with my brain. And at 50, I think it's just who I'm meant to be. I'm not that. When it comes to drawing, I want to feel the tooth of the paper. I want the charcoal. I want the pencil. I want the color pencil. And for all that, I got to go over here and push this before I do that. And if I don't do that, it's going to wash everything out. I might lose it. That would drive me freaking crazy, right? Because I'm like, man, by now I would have been 5 minutes ago, I would have finished this drawing if I had my original tools. I just need space in the amount of the light and a real studio, and I always needed the same shit that I never had because of the money, right? But these guys that were doing that digital work were getting paid, y'all, and there was a very elitist club about it too. And here we go with the stuff that I said that separates us, right? Guess who was mostly in that club? I said mostly. The key word was mostly. Privileged whites and privileged Asian artists. And I mean East Asian especially. I'm saying my Japanese brethren, sister, especially as a boys club too, so you may as well just say brethren. Not saying there's no women involved. I know some badasses, okay? I know some amazing, every gender, every ethnicity. But you will not argue me down on saying that it is not common in Hollywood and all the folks that were hiring these people, even if you go over to the publishing side of it, for book covers, sci-fi book covers, and all types of things of that nature, or, even children's books. I can just go on and on and on for all the places where this type of art has been utilized. In large in part, it was another white country club for white guys. Not necessarily, I will say the age thing wasn't as much a factor. There's plenty of older ones, but it was mostly even young, because it's a young thing. It's a computer age. So a lot of the older ones, they just as mad as I may have been. Like, oh, these whippersnapper motherfuckers took my job with that goddamn tablet, But he could paint circles around it. Because he used to do the original illustrations for Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Y'all know the work I'm talking about. Or the original He-Man art that would be on the box of your toy, or your Transformers, or your G.I. Joe. Those people used to draw and freaking paint, And it's funny, even as I said Transformers, I think about that was the age of the airbrush coming in. And some people hated airbrush. Oh, this damn airbrush is taking away the paintbrush. So you see, every time something happens in medium, somebody's mad about it, because once that new thing is introduced, it will take over the mainstream market for whatever is in the industry of mainstream products, movies, comic books, etc. All the hot pop art is going to follow the next big trend with the media. And it's historic what I'm saying. It always happens. But in America, on top of the media, you also have the racism. There is a cliquish thing about this shit. And I can't say enough that there's not to say that there's never been no amazing black artists that still are out here doing the work and still can do everything on level with all those white guys. Shout out to Levada E. O'Neal. My homegirl, black woman, who's right there with you, right? But she's one, I can say outright. You know what I'm saying? Afua Richardson, one of ones. I know, I can't, honestly, it would be hard to name 10 that do the type of digital, I said digital, because I know some badasses in that paint and brush and that old school color pencil and all. Oh my gosh, you put it on that level, oh, it's a real face-off then. But this is the thing, that elitism of who can afford the computer, who can afford the program, who can afford the Wacom tablet, who can afford the fucking pencil, who can afford the pen. But here's the game on all of us as artists. All those years of gatekeeping that ability to get the fucking resources to buy the materials and to do the damn work and making your little clubs and cliques because you don't want to deal with nobody else. Well, look what the fool at the top who hired all of you did. They just decided, well, we done pimped them long enough and they don't ever read the fine print. So when they were drawing on those tablets and computers and everything, you don't think that for years, every single stroke, every single line, every single layer that you kept building and taking away and showing how your mind thinks as a human to do. They didn't come up with these fucking things that look just like what y'all been drawing for over decades just because the computer is so smart and it just knows how to take one look at it and do it. No, baby. No, This thing been, like I said, what's called AI has been around. AI is every single thing we've ever done and applied it to a computerized system. Did you hear what I fucking just said? Everything. Because every single generation of its development is reaching back to one other thing that it has to give credit to something else that happened before it for it to get the understanding of how we are thinking. They are saying now that there's the new next generations of the AI computers being developed and the systems are trying to mock our hand-eye coordination and how we think. They want to literally know just how you literally, that's how I was always trying to figure out how you think. Guess what, people? We've all participated in our own demise if you consider it a total demise. And like I say, the folks who own these companies at the top, you're talking about Disney and everybody's mad about Marvel and what they did to these people. Oh my gosh. But is anybody going to not go see the next Marvel movie? The fuck we ain't. Yes, we are. If I could buy my tickets to go see Black Panther 3 today, I'd buy them. Okay? And you would too. And when you get home, you're watching what? Disney Plus. It's like, there's no escaping it. From the company side to the application side, to the fandom side, to the and everybody who gets upset, it only lasts months and weeks, and they know this about you. But where the stupid is for me, with people and our divisions, and what keeps us from realizing what we could do to not have this keep happening to us every time something new comes along, is if artists, you're an artist, I'm an artist. I don't give a fuck what your construct is, brethren, sistren. If you're part of the human family, that's where you got to get in the mind to understand where I'm going. If you don't understand that, then what I'm saying will never apply. If you just, oh no, I'm racist and I don't want to be around you and I don't like this and that, then you'll never be a part of what I'm talking about. But if there's a part of you that's just like, yeah, I mean, that's all I knew and that's all I was around, yeah, that's great and fine. But we be sometimes around only, mostly our own, so to speak, but we always have to deal with everybody else. Everybody else don't always have to deal with us. It's a choice. We're forced to. We have to assimilate. We have to know how y'all get down. We have to figure out your system to fucking get a job. But what the stupidest shit about it is when the system that ain't really got no damn, well, no, hold on. It still has an ethnicity and a race now, because at the top of it, it's still old white money for these old white men. And everybody keeps talking about, I just wish they'd all die so we could all... That ain't gonna change shit. Because if you young and you got the same mentality, you just gonna keep running the flag. It's gonna be the same fucking play. You can change your look. And what do you think Get Out was about? You can take another body. You can body swap. If the mental is the same, the archetype won't change. Because you're still going to want to gatekeep. You're still going to want to be at the top. You're still going to think, I'm better than somebody else. I got to be better than somebody else. If I can't say I'm better than somebody else, I'm nobody. I got to conquer. I'm an empire. I rule. You ain't shit. You're just another fucking human being. And yes, you can be brilliant. I know I am. But in all my brilliance, I'm also a surviving body, a human living soul who understands I gotta get along to get along. I gotta know enough about my brother and my sister, my human family, to experience all the great things I've ever wanted to learn about being alive and being a human. And when you really are touching that, nobody's an enemy anymore in just that simple sense. It's individual. It's who are you, man? What's your archetype? What you really about? And if I smell bullshit, I'm calling it. But other than that, what's up? For real. Because I promise you, we're going to keep as a human family, those of us who are part of that, not that other mentality, because these other ones, they're really not human family. This is why people think they're aliens and they're calling them reptilians and all, whether that be real or not. And I got no problem with the thought of that might, okay? But I'm just saying, we don't have to keep thinking that this won't keep happening if you don't make a fucking change. You've got to change that part of your mind that keeps thinking you're gonna just like, what? You drew for Disney and all this stuff. These guys are young, a lot of these guys who got fired, and women. And I guarantee you, they grew up listening to rap and hip hop and everything. They may have even been, if they were really young, they were bumping the trap and all that in their car and everything when they leave work. But look around the office. Can you count the pepper and the cinnamon? How many black and brown you got up in here for real? And I know they all got fired too, but I'm saying how many? Yet you worked on Black Panther. You had to study Africa for real to make that look as good as it looked. You had to really dig deep and accept somebody else's cultural experiences to make that authentic enough to be accepted and embraced by all the various peoples that make us who we are as African Americans, and of course the rest of the world that loves it. All the way back to the motherland and throughout the Caribbean and everywhere where everybody's really, really in it because we see ourselves in those characters, okay? And we all know that most of the staff and the actors and of course Coogler and the whole team, shout out Nate Moore, yeah, black leadership. But I know a lot of those artists, they were white. And they got the opportunity to draw these different things and make these things. But I'm saying, I used to see the arrogance of that type. I'm not saying those were the people that would be coming at me on the forum and talking shit to me when I put up a real original drawing or painting. And they'd be coming to me like, well, it's pretty good. I mean, this is kind of cool, but your other stuff is kind of whack. And I don't really like this. And I'd be like, motherfucker, nothing you're doing is original. You know, y'all scared because you're saying, man, this shit is different. That's what fucked your head up. And you say he did this drawing with no computer involved other than scanning it or taking a photo of it and putting it out here for us to see it and just sharing. And I used to get into debates and then I just said, who am I talking to? Everybody in here is together because they all sitting on their whacking tablets making six figures a year, okay? Working for major, because they would say where they worked and stuff. You know, they'd have it in their credentials at the end of every post like a little... signing a letter. They would have their signature, they'd have their credit, because they want to let you know. Oh yeah, like I said, it was a clique, it was a boys club. It was mostly boys, it was mostly young white guys. Now they're all my age, because these were contemporary. They were either a little bit younger than me or a little bit older than me. And a lot of them people, I'm not saying that all of those people were the people who got fired, but I'm saying that psychology, I experienced it firsthand. And it wasn't just on that forum. I experienced that in other ways. Oh my gosh, I done met so many people from being in the biz. You know, it's just an arrogance you sense about these people when they got that job and, got my little Starbucks and, even if they're working in a cubicle. Hey, man, I'm filming here. Shut that loud ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff right there. That's the problem, people. You're not preparing for a day when, guess what? You ain't that special as you thought you were. The computer studied you, and now you taught the computer how to take your job. The AI, that's what everybody keeps saying. You taught it. Yeah, you did. But the worst part is, for years you talk shit to people who couldn't afford the equipment you had, who could draw circles around your ass, quite frankly. And even if you said, well, no, I'm more of a technical drawer than you'll ever be. Yeah, but your shit is boring. You ain't got no style. You ain't got no imagination. Be honest. You look through a book from Hollywood on the art of whatever movie. How many people, if it says there's 10 artists in that book, how many people can you stand and can you pick out per page and say, that's so-and-so? And I don't know about these other people, but I know that's that guy. There's only a few digital artists I know of in any medium. I mean, comic book artists that do covers and stuff. You know, some of my favorites that I love, I know they shit when as soon as I said, I can see it across the road, I said, that's my boy so-and-so. Ooh, I love his work. You feel me? That's that other level. That's when you really have a voice. That's when you will be remembered. But when your style was that trained, yes, you're damn good. You're technically phenomenal. Yes, your anatomy so perfect, it's like a photograph. Every person you ever drew and every dragon and monster and everything. But your shit look the same as the next dude because you're all doing the same. How many times have we seen the fucking mouth that opens like this after the Reapers in Blade 2, which I always say give first credit to probably Tremors with the worms that had the mouths that open like that. And that shit kept going all the way through Stranger Things with the flower mouths. I call them the flower mouths. It's flower mouth everywhere. Everybody's got a fucking flower mouth. And think about the video games and animes, you'll see the goddamn flower mouth everywhere. Some of y'all laughing your ass off right now because you know, like, damn, that's real. That's true. And y'all know it's true. I ain't asking nobody's opinion. I study this shit. After Warhammer established the bulky Marines, how many other things got that look? You can't even say Space Marine without a motherfucker looking like that. Shit. Okay? How many things done bit off of H.R. Giger's Alien? The look of that. And what was he influenced by in nature? But see, that's an even deeper story. But the bottom line is this. Oh, man. We are going to continue to cry the fucking blues as an arts community until we understand the human family. If you get out of your little shit pocket of it's just me and my boys and my little, yeah, but you want to draw everybody else. I think I want to do an African character today. Well, motherfucker, you need to meet some Africans. And you need to let them draw and be a part of this fucking movie and get them same paychecks y'all been getting. See, if there had been enough blacks, whites, all the constructs, brown, yellows, reds, everybody working at Disney when this shit happened, oh, you best believe it may have still happened. It may have still happened, but the movies would have been so fucking good. You know how people say, I like, there was these Marvel movies that were amazing, and then there was these ones that was kind of okay, we didn't really need, and everybody debates that. I promise you, Black Panther coming along, most of the staff is all African and black, and of the black African diaspora. Why? Because we know our shit. And you're gonna get a better everything. It's not to say I didn't love all the movies, especially the first Black Panther. Not so much the second one, but I did like it visually. Right? Had my issues with the story on the second, big time. Everybody's hoping the 3 is just gonna set it right again, forever. But bottom line, I don't know what we're gonna get now, because it's gonna be AI based. This is what we know. Percentages say if we make it look like this from the first one and the second one, we're gonna get good results. And then all we're gonna have to rely on is just, hey man, we know we got Denzel and some other great actors. Hopefully they won't CGI and AI them to death to the point where we don't even know if we're looking at them in some scenes. Shit. If we can just get to the point of understanding the value of everybody in the human fucking family, the best art is yet to come. But as long as we gatekeep each other, and especially you gotta at some point, all the privileged whites who have been thinking, it'll never happen to me, I'm white, I'm privileged. These motherfuckers so greedy, they don't give a shit even about you, okay? They only need a few of you to keep making movies. They've shown you this. Now they're training people and a whole generation of kids that won't care like we're talking about this so passionately because everything they ever saw was generated like that or in some way generated like that. So if we're not in the conversation with AI, this is why it's so important that everybody gets involved and stops hating. Because like you say, shit ain't going nowhere. Unless you really gonna flip the whole system, which y'all ain't gonna do, because that's gonna literally mean a big gap of technology not being a part of your regular life, which has become so much a part of your life, you don't know no other fucking way to exist. So rather than even pretend that that's gonna happen, be a part of what's gonna push in the new age as the human family all has their voice involved. Let's train the computer that's supposed to be taking our jobs to give me a job and make sure I have a job. More on that maybe next episode. Stay woke.